Brightburn was directed by David Yarovesky, produced by James Gunn, and written by his relatives Brian and Mark Gunn. It's a story of the Breyer couple played by Elizabeth Banks and David Denman, who can't have kids, but then they find a child to adopt who is basically evil Superman. This is a gory, dark horror film, and Jackson A. Dunn, the actor who plays their adopted son Brandon, is fantastic. It takes a special kind of kid to be able to pull off an intimidating 12-year-old. He's really good at expressing subtle madness, which is perfect for making you wonder what's going on in that sinister little head of his. I liked how ruthless his character was. Once he switches to the dark side, it's not really clear whether or not he wants to be good, and I know some would have preferred to see more of a genuine struggle between him and his conscience, but I was more than happy that they kept his intentions vague, so that just like his parents, you don't really know if he's worth trying to save. Even when things cross the point of no return, you really feel for the couple because of how well they portrayed a family who really wants to believe it was fate that they found this child. However, the problem with having a super being that's so powerful is that at least in other similar films like the slasher films of the 80s, you could still naively hope that the victims had a chance to fight back or at least escape. However, in Brightburn, you know immediately that you have zero chance. This creates for some interesting scenes, but it also makes it so that in a genre where it's already not a good idea to get invested in anyone, now you have even less reason to get invested. I think this is why I actually felt more tension watching Brandon start to get angry than I did watching him don his mask and actually hunt people down. You might as well just stand still and wait for death. What are you going to do? Drive away from Superman? I can't think of a worse scenario to be in. What could possibly be more difficult to escape than evil Superman? Communist Superman?
I can't believe this Russian is defeating me. No.
The concept of an evil Superman is very intriguing, but I also felt there were so many angles that they didn't explore. Instead, they chose a more predictable route and relied a little too much on just the premise without realizing that anybody with a little knowledge of Superman lore will be able to see certain things coming from a mile away. The interactions between Brandon and other characters are really great, but there were certain things that happened as the credits were rolling that I wished had been explored earlier in this film, but I'm guessing they were limited by their budget. I would have loved to have seen at least a couple of grander scenes of chaos on the level of a Marvel film. Then again, a smaller scale works well for an origin story, and besides, the best scenes were the personal ones of watching the family fall apart as they cycle through denial and confusion. I give Brightburn 7 perfectly innocent super babies out of 10. The one thing that detracts more from this film than any other factor is the damn trailers. If you watch the trailers, you're going to feel like you've already watched this film. Unfortunately, because of this, I never really felt like I was caught by surprise. If you remember too much of the trailers, you can even predict the ending. I couldn't avoid this trap because the trailers were fresh in my mind. Don't get me wrong though, I still enjoyed a lot of this film. It was very cool and had some really disturbing imagery.